we go. All right. I gotta press OK to get out of that. The uh, the start of my career in speech pathology was um, through NYU. So I had got my degree from NYU, my master's that is. And since I have been working in speech, in the field of speech pathology, I like to say that I prefer to work before school and after school. So although I started in the school system, I have worked with early intervention and then I have worked with adults, both with developmental disabilities as well as adults that are non-disordered. And I work with them for professional voice use, public speaking, etc. And so over the years, although those are my speech clinical practices, so to speak, I also have been a professor at several universities, and we share Lehman, which is one of, a very fond memory of mine. I would have stayed there, as I always say, forever if they had a full-time job that I could have done. And then different other universities in and around New York, and full and part-time over the years. My last position was as the clinical director at Mercer University, which is in Dobbs Ferry in Westchester. So I've had quite a varied career, and I loved a lot of it. And then there's always something that we could do better and that we like better, right? So yes, it's a little about myself. So we are here to talk about a great topic that everybody is really talking about a lot at their workplaces, and it's artificial intelligence. And many people, of course, have various different views of what artificial intelligence looks like. And so I need to open up a little bit of my link and show you. So artificial intelligence, of course, has come a long way over the years. And it is not just one concept, it is multiple concepts. The artificial intelligence that a lot of people think about. Let's see, I'm looking for my sharing and I'm looking for my screens. It's okay, I will find it. I'm going to go back. Let me just go straight to my presentation here. It is right there. Artificial intelligence oftentimes looks like this. So it's kind of that robot hand that a lot of people think about. However, that is not the only type of artificial intelligence. Let me go on the present view so that you can see it better. Start presentation. So we have definitely been using artificial intelligence through a lot of apps that a lot of people use currently. Over time, we always want to say that when we are looking for artificial intelligence, it is something that is actually coming from the people that created it, right? So people have to start to put information in, create, for the sake of argument, algorithms, code, so that computers can respond and sequence things in certain ways that give us different outcomes, right? And so across the board, that is really what we're talking about when we're talking about AI. We're not talking necessarily about robots, although robots might be part of some of the work that some people are doing. And again, depending on your perspective, it really shows kind of within different fields what AI might be used for, whether working with children, early intervention. We have lots of apps. We have apps that respond to voices. We have apps that respond back to children in certain settings. And then we have opportunities for us to use those apps for part of the process to, initiate services, really. And I'll talk a little bit about that as far as assessment is concerned. And then we have apps for adults that are in different other settings for medical care or for ongoing intervention for developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, etc. And again, those are different intervention strategies that we might use. So just to, kind of bring us all along, we have, let me just, I don't know why it's not showing as it should be. Hold on one second. All right. Technology always get you when you don't want it to. Let's see. Start presentation. Yes, please, and thank you. All right. So, oh, all right, let me click on this. Okay. So we're transforming speech language pathology with AI. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing, of course, for speech pathology. It provides innovative solutions and it provides us opportunities to tailor intervention and improve carryover, as well as enhance our assessments. So as time goes on, we all kind of think about different ways AI and technology have kind of drawn us in to using it on a daily basis. It's almost impossible to not be in contact with some sort of computerized technology these days. It definitely has the opportunity to make our lives easier and achieve better outcomes. And so this is within our own lives, let alone within our careers. So for us to be able to kind of recognize that we are using it on a daily basis, whether it's from the stove that we use, the computer that's within our refrigerators in first thing in the morning, or it's our smartphones that are in our hands, we are using it on a daily basis. I think a lot of us have technology that we don't even think about as being even any way connected to AI. And yet we have what would have been watches, but monitors of some sort on our body that give us information. So of course, the AI is developing kind of with human use to become better, more efficient, more responsive to what we do in our day-to-day lives, let alone in our careers and with speech pathology. So as we move forward, we kind of think about all those ways that we can use it with our clients. So the first thing that we usually do with our clients, of course, is assessment. So in general, AI is able to analyze data much easier. Now, I don't know about you and whether or not you have a lot of assessments that you've had to do. I have had, I like to say, close to 300 evaluations that I've done before even counting evaluations when I'm in universities with my student clinicians. But those assessments can be done through various different AI generation programs. And so they assess some of the information. They can assess recordings. They can assess data. They can look at our data that we have collected and create reports that are at least a starting point, let's just say, for the ways that we want to finish and, share information with families, with our clients that are adults. For me, I know that I have data programs that run within particular assessments and give me an output of success or areas that need improvement. So again, even whether it's a large amount for those people that are in schools and need to do IEPs, or it's one by one when you're doing early intervention assessments, for example, these are things that we can definitely use. Now, let's be clear. These are not, this is not just the only way that we're assessing, right? We are assessing through our clinical instincts also. So we take some objective data points and we take some subjective data points. We share both of those within what we do for our assessments in the reports, and that is the part that we as speech language pathologists or audiologists will continue to be needed for. It is not one kind of basic and only, objective observation that we put into our reports. It's a lot of the personal and interpersonal parts that are also included. There are, of course, different patterns in the ways that we view our clients in their assessments. For example, disfluency is one area that there's certain patterns that reoccur because a particular client might have a particular type of disfluency that shows up in particular characteristics of part word repetitions, interjections, etc., that you can then put through various AI programs and find information. So it gives us a lot of information in a shorter amount of time for our assessments. Now, again, I don't know how many of you have had to transcribe words, statements and phrasing that you've had to look at, and you're like trying to compare it kind of to the target. So again, looking at those kind of assessments and ways that we work within our own field, those are kinds of some things that AI would be able to recognize a little bit faster. And except for those of us that have been in the field for many, many years, and we could do it off the top of our heads, but we still need the data and we need the data points, and sometimes we need the numbers, and to run percentages may be a little bit less fun, at least, than doing the initial assessment and kind of like seeing those patterns come up. We also can use the AI to generate personalized recommendations. Now, again, if we're being honest, these personalized recommendations have come from information that AI has collected through the internet, for the sake of argument, through different other programs that have contributed, frankly, to the AI development. And so over time, the computer, the algorithm, the codes learn what we have done and therefore are able to, in some ways, I'm going to use the word imitate what we did and be able to show us options more quickly than us having to work it out ourselves. So I've talked about this in the past with EHR system and EMR systems, where you can put information within it, and then it kind of determines a particular type of diagnosis. So again, you're showing the characteristics within the initial report or initial data set, and then they are saying those different characteristics fit this particular type of diagnosis. And that's the way that a lot of people use AI within it. However, as far as the recommendations, it's related to that particular type of diagnosis. Now, as we know, diagnoses might go on top of each other. There might be somebody that has both cerebral palsy as well as disfluencies, for the sake of argument, right? And so we can kind of see multiple layers of recommendations that we would want to present, because one thing may be a higher priority in certain contexts, and another thing is a higher priority in other contexts. So for us, we, as speech pathologists, we should be able to look at that data, look at the recommendations that the AI is generating, and be able to determine which ones are a higher priority now, which ones are a lesser priority. And again, we are always working with our clients to find out what they feel are their priorities, not just because we think this is wrong and it's the only way that it goes forward. No, we need to be able to listen to our clients and make sure that they are in agreement with us. So again, as far as AI integrating different intervention strategies, we can add on that list personalized therapy sessions. We do that anyway. Let's be clear. We absolutely have clients that we know like a particular thing. However, for some newer clinicians, it might be very helpful to find out how they can personalize therapy sessions with some of the same materials. I know that used to be a big issue for some of my students. But in addition, it used to be an issue for me. When I was a student, when I was a new clinician, I have only a certain number of tools in my tool bag. Literally, as an early intervention provider, I would only have certain toys, right? Like that's kind of how you start. However, how do I use it with different clients for different needs? And so getting some ideas about how to use these particular items within your session is very helpful. Yes, there's videos that you can use, but obviously there's also a need for us to be able to integrate that into our lesson planning in schools. A lot of times people don't have a lot of different tools at particular schools, or that they've gone into a school and don't know how to use these, different items. Putting that into an AI process and figuring out ways that can be creative is really helpful through our AI programs. Real-time feedback is really important. We know that from some of our clients that have dysarthria, aphasia, some of our adult clients in particular. That is really helpful. I know I've used real-time feedback with different AI programs that analyze speech for accent modification, for example, over the years. The clients want to know immediately whether or not they did something in the way that they wanted to do it, and whether in some ways the outside person could hear it. And the truth is, even as clinicians, we have to think that although we want to be objective all the time, we can be subjective also. We have certain things that we want to tell our clients that are easy for them to hear and that they take with, they take well. We want to give them verbal praise. We want to reinforce particular skills. And then there's some times where we don't really know how to approach and broach different topics that might be less comfortable. So giving that feedback through an AI program, through an app, etc., might be really great. It might help you to be able to overcome your own limitations when you're feeling uncomfortable about saying something. And then gamification for engagement, as we said, and as we know, a lot of the games that we used to play kind of on boards, if you're that old, you can now play online, right? And so there's lots and lots of games that are responsive to the interactions that we have as, humans really, but we have through our computers as we press buttons, as we move the screen. And again, as we interact with the screen, that is even an important part of things. So again, having clients that have physical disabilities, that have problems, frankly, moving if we're doing telepractice, for example, if we're doing telepractice in particular, that they have problems moving the pointer, moving the mouse, etc. Those are ways that the AI can kind of recognize and manage that, right? So accessibility options within our screens and within our apps are really important. And again, we don't think about it as AI, but it is AI. last, or as a result of intervention, we want to talk about how we want effective carryover. Carryover is really, really important, and we all know this. A lot of clients need to be able to do things after our sessions to be able to reinforce certain skills. And some families may not know how to do this, as well as the clients may be new to you. So we have this opportunity to use carryover assignments in a fun or gamified way for reminders. Now, I think that over time, we will see more things develop that allow our clients to be able to monitor their abilities. And again, these are, I want to say, sensors that I've talked about in the past when I talk about telepractice, as well as reminders that might be on their their smartphones to their watches to give them a reminder to do something that we can use as part of our SLP work for clients, both in medical as well as with clients that are in non-medical settings, so schools, etc. So I think that, and again, it might not just be directly for the clients, it might be for the parents, for example, to remind the parents to do something that we can reinforce after our sessions. Unfortunately, if we are in schools or even in early intervention, we might have 1 or 2 sessions a week, and that equals what, 1 hour and, or 2 hours at the most that we see these clients at times. So again, carryover is really, really important to reinforce certain skills. And so let's make sure. All right. So I'm going to kind of skip over this a little bit, or at least I'm going to go quickly through it, I should say. This is a little timeline for how AI has worked for clients over the years. Again, this is really, how we use AI in evidence-based practice and making sure that we find different articles or new information over time. Now notice this date line starts at 2019. AI has been around for longer than that. And so this is something that we are only just starting in speech language pathology to really fully engage with and recognize as part of what we do in a positive way. So pediatric clinics definitely have increased assessment accuracy with and tailored their interventions. Speech language pathologists increase their therapy sessions, as we were talking about before, clients being more motivated and engaged. Case studies for therapy time needed for specific speech disorders. I'm sure everybody has heard of like the 10-minute Arctic therapy protocols, which are like really super quick sessions, but 10 minutes a day. And then they rotate day by day. Really amazing, I think, for those that are in schools that are doing or potentially working with children in groups, but also working with children on telepractice. And last but not least, of course, clients who practice at home have much more improvement for better outcomes in the long run. Again, this is also because families can then be involved with our sessions, right? Or with the outcomes. Now, some things that are not great about AI is data privacy. Let's be clear. As best as possible, we are using computers, I hope, more and more to take data as well as to write reports. So maintaining our own security, making sure that we have password protected work and folders, and that we stay consistent with using it, and making sure that we are using opportunities to make updates on a consistent basis will allow your data to be more private on a more consistent basis. And last, again, not least, we know that clinician training is really, really important to make sure that people are staying up to date with what they can use as far as AI tools, to be able to work as effectively as we need to. even though diversity, equity, and inclusion has taken a little bit of a hit in the most recent funding and cycles of some schools and some medical professions and some medical settings, excuse me, we know that it's important. It's important to know the physical abilities of our clients, the cultural backgrounds, and neurodiversity, so that when we are selecting AI components that work for our clients, we select the ones that are best suited to each client. This does not limit or minimize, frankly, the need for us to be able to continue to address these needs when we are using our AI programs. And again, there has been a lot of discussion on whether or not AI is biased at times. It's getting better, but it's continue to be biased depending on the platform that you're using. So I'll show you a few different platforms in a minute. And of course, in the future, AI is going to get better and better. Right now, we're right here. So there's more sophisticated machine learning models. There's better diagnostic accuracy and treatment personalization, especially for those that are in medical fields that may see their clients kind of quickly and not as long as people that are in the school systems. That is really, really important. You need to make a quick diagnosis. You need to turn over the client's reports quickly, and you don't have a lot of time to be able to take an ongoing assessment over a longer period of time. You might need to do something really, really quickly. TBI clients, aphasia clients that have had strokes, for example, and making sure that they have, good client outcomes also. Again, as we move forward, we'll continue to see improvements in AI tools, no doubt. We will use it better to move faster through our workflows and again, get better patient, interactions. And of course, on and on as we move forward. I hope that some of us as speech language pathologists are also participating when we get an opportunity in refining these AI applications. I have dreams of creating my own app one day. And so I feel that there is room for us to be able to influence what AI does for us within our speech and audiology fields, because we do need much more input from our own field to be able to address what we need in the long run. So again, there is a revolutionary impact that AI is going to have. It's definitely going to have, more personalized outcomes and better work for us, easier work for us, right? And I feel like that's really important. We can't forget that we're going to get to benefit from it too. So let me stop sharing that.